This meeting will call to order the Gallatin Municipal Board of Zoning Appeals. Today's Thursday, August 22nd. That's where we're going to start here. Call to order. Yeah, okay. You want to lead us in the pledge? Oh, invocation? Yeah, you want to do that?
I'll do the invocation. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Lord, thank you for this time together. Lord, please be with us tonight as we make decisions for our city. Please be with everyone on their way home. In your son's name, amen.
So are you mind leading Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Marion, you lead the roll call.
Chair Moore. Vice Chair Schreiner. Ms. Holman.
Here.
Ms. Gregory. Here. Mr. Morrell.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Second.
Second. Motion so passed.
Is your mic turned off again?
The minutes passed from last time. All right. And we're going to open the public comment on any agenda-related items. Anybody like to come forward and speak on any agenda-related items? No. We'll close to the public. On the agenda tonight, we have resolution number 2024-010, 1097 Wedgewood Drive Carport from Philip Newberry and Marilyn Newberry. The owner and applicant request a variance of 9.77 feet from the 10-foot side yard setback to allow a 0.23-foot side yard building setback for a carport as an addition to the residence per section 06.06.040B of the Gallatin zoning ordinance on the 0.24 acre lot zoned R10, medium density residential, located at 1097 Wedgewood Drive, tax map 114M, Group B, parcel 026.00.
Brad Hickman, staff planner. Good evening, board members. You can see here Mr. and Mrs. Newberry's home in the Eagle Creek subdivision. Mr. and Mrs. Newberry built a 209 square foot carport unaware that they needed a building permit. Is, as the information said, 0.23 feet from the property line. They did have a survey to confirm that. Just an example of the neighborhood. It is a typical lot, the neighborhood. The planning department does recommend denial based off of that information.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'll also just remind the board that the standards for variances have been listed out in your staff report, which you do have access to on your computer here. So if you need to refer to that, your staff report does go through each one of the criteria. And all your decisions should be based on those criteria. So if you can sort of try to make your motions based on those types of things as well, that helps you back up your decisions.
Does the applicant want to come forward? Just come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
My name is Philip Newberry. I live at 1097 Wedgewood Drive. My wife is Marilyn right back there. So we're both present.
Anything else to add?
Well, I understood that the carport, as long as it was less than 200 square feet, didn't need a permit. And so I told the guys building it to make it a 10 by 19, which would have been 190 square feet. I don't want to sound racist here. Sometimes Hispanic people have a hard time understanding English, and I have a very hard time understanding Hispanic because I don't speak it. But they built it 11 by 19, which put me over that limit. I didn't have any understanding about the property line, and I apologize for that. I meant no harm. I'm 73 years old, getting ready to be 74. I've got a bad heart, and if I fall on the concrete, I wouldn't be able to get up in the winter. And so if nobody heard me, that was the whole reason for this, was to be able to get out my side garage door and get into the car to where my wife could either take me to the doctor, or take me to the hospital, or whatever needed to be done. But I had no hard feeling towards my neighbors. I actually had driven around the neighborhood and had seen 2 or 3 carports built, and I really kind of thought I was there, but I apparently am not, so that's why I'm here.
Okay.
They did stop us, Codes did, from finishing it. We were going to paint the posts white and make it to where it looks like it blends into the house. But we were told to stop, so we did. Again, I apologize for anything breaking rules.
Thank you. If that's it, you have a seat and we'll open up to the public. So at this time, we'll open up to the public. Anybody else speak on this? Did any neighbors complain? Do we have any data on that? Where did any neighbors?
We did first discover this. I believe the neighbor on the carport side did call us in
Okay.
initially.
No one else come forward, then we will close to the public.
Is the awning the issue, or is the driveway also?
Micah?
How to turn it on? Is the awning, the canopy part, the issue, or the whole driveway?
Just the awning.
Just the awning, okay.
Driveway can be up to the property line, but when you put a structure up, that has to meet setback rules.
Gotcha, thanks.
I would also note that there is a PUDE through there. It could remain, but in the future, if utilities did need to go through there, they would have the right to tear up that area and without replacing it.
Is it a 5-foot PUD or a 10-foot?
I believe it's a 10 straddling the property line, as I recall.
Oh, okay.
Would that have? Had they gone through the proper channels and obtained a building permit first, would that have even been permitted?
No, it would not have been allowed to build over that PUD. I don't believe they've been able to get one in there big enough to drive a car on, unless they included that bit of sidewalk that was close to the house.
Okay.
I don't think so.
If no other comment, then we'll make a motion, make a call for a vote.
I make a motion to deny it. If they would have went through the proper channels, they wouldn't be in this situation. And, I mean, that's that on that.
Do I hear a second?
Again, if I can remind you,
Look at those, yeah, look at the standards.
try to base your motions on the criteria and if they meet them or don't. Not on if they followed the rules
So-
up front.
Brad, they, do I have to let her finish her motion?
Well, there is a motion pending.
I can open it back up to comment again, right?
We need a second to go to, we need a second to go to discussion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Thank you. Brad, The applicant mentioned that there was others in the neighborhood, other carports in the neighborhood. Are y'all aware of those? I mean, do we know anything about them?
No, I do not. I drove there. The picture on the right is the one I took. There may be others in the carport, but not the street, others in the neighborhood, but not the streets I drove down. Nothing exactly like that.
Okay.
So if we have no more comment, we'll open it back up to. I'll just leave it on. So if we have no more comment, then I'll open it back up. Call for a vote. Do you want to rephrase?
Yes. I'll make a motion to deny it because it does not meet the setback requirements. Is that good?
Second. Yes, ma'am. Oh, wait. I think what she meant to say is she wanted to amend her motion.
Yes, amend your motion, and then you're going to second it, because we already have a motion on the floor.
Okay.
I will amend my motion to deny the request for variance because it does not meet the setback requirements.
I will second that, and now we have to vote on the amendment.
Can I just,
Yes, sir.
again, point out, the variance itself is what they're asking for. And a reasoning of saying that it doesn't meet that rule isn't really addressing what's in the criteria here. The criteria are different than that particular rule that they are not meeting, right? That's why they're here to ask if they can get an exception to that rule. So a reason for denial based on the fact that they don't meet the current rule isn't really, that's not really something that would hold up if it were appealed. So you want to try to look at those A through J in your report and determine, is there some of this that they aren't meeting, and that would be the purpose for denial, or do you feel that they do meet the requirements, and that would be a solution where you would recommend approval? Does that make sense? Sorry, I'm just trying to help guide you guys along in your decision-making process. I mean, if you want, I can read through each of the criteria so that you can hear them out loud. Or if you want to just peruse them in your reports that you've got there, it's up to you.
So do I need to amend my amended?
Wait, yeah.
What we're going to do right here, I'm going to recommend that we withdraw all motions presently before this body, which means CJ will,
I'll withdraw my second.
I'll withdraw
your amendment,
my amendment,
and with you withdraw your original motion.
and I withdraw my original motion.
Okay.
I'll call it back for a vote.
Well, no vote now, because now we need another motion.
Oh,
We need an
motion.
actual motion, and what Mr. Rose is trying to get everyone to realize is this motion needs to be based on either they meet the requirements for a variance, which are listed through J, A through J, or they do not. And that needs to be said within the motion.
And if you have particular criteria that you're looking at that you think do or don't meet, those would be the ones to maybe call out and say, here's why I don't think it doesn't, meet the criteria. Make sense?
I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny it based off of the conditions upon which the petition for a variance is based would not be applicable generally to other properties within the district? No? Yeah.
So what the staff report is stating is that technically, every single other lot in this neighborhood is the exact same. So technically, anyone could ask for this variance.
I withdraw my motion.
I didn't follow the train of thought, I'm sorry.
So she's looking at it from
Which variance condition are you looking at?
B. Yeah. Based on y'all's remark, the condition upon which this petition for a variance is based would be applicable to most of the other properties in the subdivision. So therefore, B can technically not be a reason for denial.
If, in your opinion, it is, that's your decision. Staff has done its best to give you some guidance on that, but you all are the end decision makers on that. So, it's worthwhile to have discussion about some of the criteria and why
Yeah.
you feel that these criteria are or aren't being met.
A lot of these criteria are framed around, is it a hardship?
Yeah.
All right, that's what I was getting ready to state.
Yeah.
Could you start with whether or not it's a hardship? That's where you kind of have your starting
I don't-
point. And the hardship is based on not the individual, but the property on which
Property itself.
they're granting the variance or not granting the variance.
I personally don't feel like this is a hardship. I mean, I think that if the proper procedures were, yes, do I think it's inconvenient? Very much so. If the proper procedures were followed and they applied for a building permit, they would not have been granted a building permit. As it's stated in A, I mean, there's technically other areas on site. Whether or not they could access those other areas or not, I don't know. Would it be convenient to construct this elsewhere on the property? Probably very likely. If I were going to choose an item, or at least a standard in which this one didn't fully meet, I would think it's A. Because, so A states, the particular physical surrounding shape, topographic conditions of the specific property involved that will result in a particular hardship upon the owner as distinguished from a mere inconvenience. So that, in reality, there's not an inconvenience on the site. They still have access to a driveway to their house. They can still technically, even though they didn't go through the proper procedures, they can likely keep the driveway that they added on the left side. They just can't have the carport. So they have extra parking now, but they can also technically park in the garage. So there technically was not an inconvenience on the site. That's my opinion.
Is there a motion and a second? Are we discussing?
I mean, this is just discussion.
Okay. I would also point to letter E. The difficulty or hardship is not being created by any person. However, it was created by the property owner for not constructing without a building permit or consulting with the planning department. As well as F, the granting of the variance requested would not confer on the applicant any special privileges that is denied by the ordinance. And in fact, it does allow some special privileges that are not currently allowed by other residents in the neighborhood. So if the criteria has to meet all, then it certainly does not meet all 10 standards by letter A, E, and F.
I'm going to take a stab at this. I will make a motion to deny based on the fact that A, E, and F of the standards for variances are not fully met
a second?
Second.
All those in favor of denial, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hereby denied. All right, item 2. I'm sorting through it. I'm looking for the next one. Here we go. Item 2, Resolution 2024-011, 100 Baywatch Place. Adam Bruggenschmidt? Did I get it right? Yes. I get like a prize or something for that? Awesome. This is variance 2024-0035. The owner and applicant requests a variance of 20 feet from the 40-foot front yard setback requirement per section 06.04.040.c of the Gallatin zoning ordinance to allow for the construction of a single-family home on a 0.4 acre lot zoned R20 PUD, low-density residential, plain unit development district located at 100 Baywatch Place, tax map 148D, Group A, parcel 001.00. For the city?
Good evening, board members. Charlie Peary, staff planner. Basically, the owner applicant is requesting a 20-foot variance from the 40-foot front yard setback that is spelled out in the zoning ordinance for the R20 zoning district. There is a PUDE that runs along the, I believe that's the east side and also on the north side of the property. And the 40-foot front yard setback is right here where the dot is. Strict application of the zoning ordinance and the enforcement of the PUDEs would make this piece of property impossible to build on. So that is why the applicant is here requesting the variance. And they are present.
Okay. For the
Open it
owner,
up to the public first.
before they come up? Okay,
Before they come
I
up.
got it backwards. At this point, we'll open it up to the public. Anybody from the public? If not, we will close it to the public, and we'll open it back up to the applicant.
Good evening, I'm Adam Brugenschmidt. My fiance Elizabeth is over there. And we bought the property 3.5 years ago. And when I started looking at building a house, I noticed there was the drainage easement through the north third of it cuts through. You see it there?
I don't have it on.
Yeah, it's right there.
It's that top button.
Right there. That's a drainage easement that's 20 feet that cuts through, so I'm pretty much, everything has to be right here in this space. So that kind of has me cut off on that side, limiting me to what I can build on the width. And then the yard frontage on the road frontage there, the road pretty much ends right at our property. It's a dead end. There is a service road that comes through on, I guess, hard to see here. So I think the road was originally going to come through here, but it pretty much dead ends right there. So there's really not a road. I think when they had originally carved this lot of mine out, the yard frontages were based on a road that would eventually be through, but there's a service road that goes down to the lift station on the far left. I don't know if that's the north side.
Either west side. West side.
The left side. Right, there's a service road that comes up. Anyway, I'm restricted. When I started looking at floor plans, I was pretty tight in there with the way the yard setback and the drainage easement cut through my property, limiting me to what I could effectively build. So that's why I had requested a variance based on the house plans that we had drawn up, and that's what I'm here today for.
Just to also give you some background on this lot, it used to not be this bad. There was right-of-way that was taken by the state through the improvements to the 109 that cut this property essentially in half. So that made it kind of difficult. I think it actually may have been 2 lots, but anyway.
My very first BZA meeting was a lot like this. It was a pie-shaped lot, and I remember John Puryear was talking to, I can't recall the guy's name, but he said it's very common with these irregular-shaped lots. And he said the setbacks, a lot of times, if I'm remembering from a couple years ago, that they went with continuity on the front of homes. Like, it's more important to have, either way, John alluded to the fact that lots like this, it's very, very common to have them here for variance simply due to the shape of the lot. I think that term is irregular shaped. Am I right on that?
Irregular shaped, and I think what he may have been, what he may have been alluding to was the character of the rest of the homes along the road.
Correct. Meaning if they met the setbacks, the house would be visible from someone's backyard
Yes.
type deal. And
The other thing I'll say is, I mean, looking at the original plat, it very much, this was I guess it curved and it was a front yard setback, but now that it's no longer tying to 109, the majority of the western side of this lot is now a side, I would argue is a side setback. In my opinion. Is there any, was there any feedback from engineering or anything like that? Like, is there a PUDE in the front of this lot, or is it just the rear?
No, there is in the front as well, but that's part of the front yard setback. And it wouldn't be.
It'd be the first 20
It wouldn't
feet.
be, yeah, it would be in the first 20 feet.
Okay, so we're out of the PUDE. Is this somewhat in line with the house that's is the line work that's on this, the house just to the east? So it's looking like what, this house would be just a few feet in front of that house to the east?
So if the house was built in conformance with the current front yard setback, it would actually be further behind the house in the lot.
Charlie, what I'm asking is where the house is shown on the plan they submitted, that if, let's say we granted the variance and the house was placed where they want it, it would be roughly in line with the house to the east,
Yes.
linearly, okay.
staff recommends approval of this.
Affirmative.
Okay.
Okay, remember, we have, regardless of what motion we make, we have to tie it to the standards for
Sure.
the variances. And from what I've learned in my short time on the BZA, it's got to meet all 10 standards.
Do I hear a motion based on the variance standards?
Make a motion to approve. Based on the criteria that it meets all 10, all 10, 11? Standards.
Let's go, yeah. Okay, A through J.
A through J.
A through J. Do I hear a second? I'll make a second. I'll second. Based on the standards A through J being met. We'll call it, all those in favor of approval of the variance?
You should ask if there's any discussion on the motion prior to.
Okay.
moving to the vote.
Any additional discussion on the motion? Okay, if not, then we'll call a vote. All those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. You've got your variance.
Thank you all very much.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Good luck.
All right, what's next on the agenda? I'm scrolling through it, yeah. Yeah, any other business?
Not at this time.
All right. Council, anything else we need to add? We free to call a motion? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
You have other business?
Any other business? Nope.
No.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Second. Motion passed. Adjourn.